I welcome the participants. This session is on gender-based violence and I'll be taking case studies, both public and domestic marriage, religion, working sector. There will be sexual harassment, domestic violence, rape and other forms of gender-based violence. Gender-based violence is a phenomena which is deeply rooted in gender equality and continues to be one of the most notable human rights violations within this society. Gender-based violence is a violence directed against a person because of their gender. Both men and women experience gender-based violence, but majority of the victims are girls and women. Using the gender-based aspect is as important as it highlights the fact that many forms of violence against women are rooted in power inequalities between women and men. The terms are also used interchangeably throughout, reflecting the disproportionate number of these particular crimes against women. There are various types of gender-based violence, but we can categorize them in 4 categories. That is physical violence, sexual violence, emotional and psychological violence, and socio-economic violence. Sexual violence against women, enforcing moral code, that is case of honor killing and other rituals, systems and practices, cultural and practices, that is gender in caste and religion, and gender-based violence case studies from developing countries, both public and domestic, marriage, religion, working sectors, etc. We are going to discuss all these in the forms of gender-based violence and injustice. Now, this gender-based violence is not just a problem for developing countries. Violence against girls and women is a global phenomenon that we simply cannot ignore. It happens in every country. The United Nations estimates that globally 1 in 3 women experience physical or sexual violence within her lifetime. This staggering number doesn't even account for psychological or emotional abuse. Violence can happen to every woman no matter age, education, employment or culture. Unfortunately, certain groups are even more at risk of this gender-based violence. Acts of violence against girls and women are not simply isolated events. Taken together, every caste or the case of abuse, every joke made about rape, every lenient sentencing handed down to others, to the offenders, is a proof that we are a global society, need and must do better to prevent violence and protect the girls and women in our lives. Sexual violence against women is any sexual act or attempt to obtain a sexual act by violence or coercion, acts to traffic a person or acts directed against a person's sexuality regardless of the relationship to the victim. It occurs in times of peace and armed conflict situations. It is widespread and considered to be one of the most traumatic, pervasive and most common human rights violation. It is a serious public health problem and has a profound short or long-term impact on physical and mental health, such as an increased risk of sexual and reproductive health problems and increased risk of suicide or HIV infection. Murder occurring either during a sexual assault or as a result of an honor killing in response to a sexual assault is also a factor of sexual violence. Gender-based violence remains highly stigmatized in all settings. Thus, levels of disclosure of the assault vary between regions. In general, it is a widely unreported phenomenon, thus available data tend to underestimate the true scale of this problem. Conflict-related and domestic gender-based violence. A distinction is made generally between the conflict-related sexual violence and domestic gender-based violence. Conflict-related violence is sexual violence perpetrated by combatants including rebels, militants and government forces to torture, injure, extract information, degrade, threaten, or intimidate or punish. And gender-based violence can in such cases amount to being a weapon of war. Domestic gender-based violence is a sexual violence perpetrated by intimate partner and by other family households members and is often termed intimate partner violence. This kind of sexual violence is widespread both during conflict and in peacetime. It is commonly believed that incidences of domestic sexual violence increase in wartime and post-conflict environments. Now, what are the consequences of this gender-based violence? Gender-based violence can have widespread consequences, not only violating its immediate victims, but also the wider meaning of freedom and basic human rights. The perceived consequences of this violence vary across cultures. In socio-centric societies, where shame is more prevalent and than emotions, the victims of sexual violence may not open up, and their trauma and hence may be there inside throughout their life. This not only affects the victim's negativity, but also affects an understanding of the true nature of trauma and relates to these acts, thereby influencing policy making. In socio-centric cultures, relations between people are at the core and individual identity is subsumed in the family or kinship. Now, this enforcing moral code. There are cases of honor killings and other rituals, systems and practices. This kind of killing of family members, primarily women, who are thought to have brought shame or dishonor to their family by engaging in certain behaviors considered unexpected and unacceptable. Premarital or extramarital sexual relationship or relationship with boys not having approval of the family are often referred to in media report as honor killing. This is somewhat a misleading term for a ritualistic form of murder precipitated by aggressors' perceived loss of honor. The perpetrator are generally male and their victims female. Honor killing has been defined as a pattern of conduct cutting across communities, culture, religion and nation and manifested in a range of and forms of violence that is directed in the majority of cases against women, including murder. This kind of honor killing and punishment have been documented over centuries among a wide variety of ethnic and religious groups throughout the world. Now, this honor killing is distinct from domestic violence for three reasons. Firstly, planning. Honor killing are planned in advance, often at a family conference. The perpetrator's family may repeatedly threaten the victim with death if she dishonors her family. Second is the family complicity. The honor killing can involve multiple family members in the killing, such as parents, brothers and cousins. And there is one stigma, that is, perpetrators of honor killings often don't face negative stigma in their families or communities. I would state some of the cases of honor killing. Murder most foul on Kerala honor killing. The judgment of the Principal Sessions Court, Kottayam, Kerala, awarding life imprisonment to 10 men involved in abduction and murder of Kevin Joseph, a 23-year-old Dalit Christian, in May 2018, is in the line with the apex court's view. The investigation and trial into Kevin's murder has been notably fast. Kevin was abducted by a group led by Chaco, that is Shanu Chaku, the principal accused and brother of Ninu, Kevin's fiancée, just as the young man was marked arrangement or he was making arrangements to have his marriage registered. The court ruled that it was an honor killing based on Ninu's testimony that her family was vehemently against the murder as Kevin was a Dalit. Shakti Vahini versus Union of India 2018. The state of Jharkhand has filed its response stating, inter alia, the measurements taken against persons involved in such crimes. Apart from asserting that honor killing is not common in the state of Jharkhand, it is stated that it shall take appropriate steps to combat such crimes. A counter affidavit has been filed on behalf of NCT of Delhi. The affidavit states that Delhi police does not maintain separate record for cases under the category of honor killing. However, it was mentioned that by the time the affidavit was filed, 11 cases were registered. It is urged that such cases are handled by the district police, and there is a special cell functioning within Delhi police meant for serious crimes relating to internal security, and such cases can be referred to the said cell, and there is no necessity for constitution of a special cell. The Department of Child and Women and Child Development has also made arrangements for rehabilitation of female victims facing threat of honor killings, and efforts have been made to sensitize the society against commission of such crimes. The state of Maharashtra versus Eknath Kisan Kumbhakar. It was further held that honor killing have become commonplace in many parts of the country, particularly in Haryana, Western Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan. Often young couples who fall in love have to seek shelter in the police lines or protection from home to avoid the wrath of kangaroo courts. There is nothing honorable in honor killing, and they are nothing but barbaric and brutal murders by bigoted people or persons with feudal minds. In our opinion, honor killing for whatever reason come within the category of the rarest of rare cases deserving death punishment. There are 5 ways which have been categorized to end gender-based violence. First is empowering, second is changing gendered norms, third is raising awareness, fourth is education, and fifth is transforming. I will be dealing with all these separately. Violence against women and girls is one of the most prevalent human rights violations in this world. It knows no social, economic, or national boundaries. Worldwide, an estimated in the 3 women will experience physical or sexual abuse in a lifetime. And together we'll have to stop all this kind of violence. So there will be a documentary which will be showing you gender-based violence, and there are some quiz which are given here. We will be interacting more on this kind of gender-based violence. Thank you.